where I sit here and make chainmail. My name's Sean, I run MailleWerX.com, and if you like chainmail, you should watch this stream. Right. This. Here. Right. Close out of that. All right. Let's get Frank's set of jewelry. All my jewelry pieces have saw cut rings. If you're new to chainmail, I recommend using saw cut rings for your jewelry. That is just a personal preference. You can do whatever you want. Hey Peg, how you doing? Holiday Inn rules. Right on. Alright. So, I've got 3 shirts on stands around the corner. And actually, on Christmas, my former brother-in-law and my nephew were down here trying on shirts, and they look pretty good in them. But I don't have any headpieces. So we're trying to make a coif. I did order some more rings for this tonight. I had a couple extra bucks in the bank account. I don't know why I had a couple extra bucks. I'm assuming it's because something hasn't come due yet that I will have to scramble to pay later. Please saw cut yours. Chris in the corner away from the other male guys. You got a new music album added to your collection today. Congratulations. What music album did you get? Oh. John, I read Cries as Chris. I don't know why. Cries in the corner, away from other male gods. Gotcha. You don't have like a jeweler's saw to saw cut all those tiny rings you use? I don't even know how you would cut those. With a saw cut or flippers or whatever. I know there's been discussion of laser cut rings, and as far as I know, no one has successfully come up with a way to mass produce rings cut with a laser. I know people have tried. People smarter than me and people much more familiar with the ring making process, and so I default to their position that as of right now it isn't being done because it's either you can't do it or it's impractical for mass production. You got a new music, Converting Vegetarians 2 by Infected Mushrooms. That's funny. Reminds me of a joke. How does it go? Okay. It's, maybe it was, I think it was just like a meme or something. It's like, one vampire was yelling at another vampire to stop biting all the vegetarians, and then the other vampire says, "But they get so mad!" Converting vegetarians. Your saw takes off a third of those tiny little rings? Yeah. A laser beam is thicker than a saw still. Interesting. Hey, Barb. Saw still has heat zone. As far as you know, it's not functional of a cut. Interesting. Laser has not worked is what I know. It melts them. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason why they don't exist. Or like a hydro cutting blade or something. I'm sure that people have tried, and there's a reason it's not being done. It just sounds so perfect, though. You know? You get a kerf of a cut a micron wide. You need replicators from Stargate to make your rings. Don't we all? Lab grown rings, but folks would think that's cheating and 3D printed them. Yeah. Yeah, you showed me that NanoMail, a lab grown NanoMail article. That's pretty cool. It's wicked cool. Finished running through Stargate Atlantis. I'm assuming that's a show and that you weren't like actually running 100 ID rings for electronics. What does stand for? I gotta uncover my ears. Unometers. Right. Yes, one day technology will advance far enough that we have really, really small, perfectly cut rings. Or perfectly cut rings with a really, really small kerf in them that are virtually perfect in every way. One day. Of course, I also think that one day someone's going to come up with a machine with multiple wire gauge inputs that can weave any weave, essentially, right? Someone's gonna do it out of sheer boredom. Will that be effective and mass produced and available to anyone? I don't know. We'll have it all but forget where we put it. Yeah. Micrometer is Is that the U that's supposed to be an N, but it's like a UN combo Greek letter thing? Definitely not running. You have 2 speeds, slow and stop. Nice. The 3D printed hands are playing video game. Alright. So second stream of 2022, and that's not 2020 also, it's 2022. Thank goodness. Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, that, whatever that is. Thank you, John. So, like I said, I have ordered some rings because we are gonna finish this. It's probably too many rings that I ordered, but that's fine. We will figure out another way to use some of them. They'll get here. Hopefully they'll be in close enough in size that it's not too noticeable. It's European foreign one. I'm fairly certain that they will blend in fairly easily, because once we have this initial top piece that goes around the dome, it's not going to be you know, it's not going to look like a graduated piece if the rings that I bought are a little bit smaller. The lowercase Greek letter mu is used to represent the prefix multiplier 10⁻⁶ or 1/1,000,000. Some texts, the symbol is an abbreviation of micrometers or microns. These two terms both refer to a unit of displacement equal to 6/1,000,000th meter or 0.001 millimeters. Math hard. Ludo sad. Oh. Yeah, that's for smart people. Smart people that know why laser cutting rings doesn't work. Alright. But what we have is good enough for my purposes. I'm quite happy with the availability of resources that has come up since I began making chainmail many years ago. You have issues with math when you run out of fingers and toes? How many fingers and toes are you holding on to there, Barb? Do you have like some in the freezer? Or just your fingers and toes? Yeah, some people will have a mind that wraps around math really easily. I can do math, but like trying to come up with a mathematical concept, right? No, there's no way. AX plus BX plus AX squared plus BS plus AX squared plus BX plus C equals negative B plus or minus the square root of 4 AC over 2B. That's Barb doesn't want to admit how many fingers and toes she has. All right. Today was a good day. I went driving all over Wisconsin trying to get work done. The patients that I saw, the 2 new ones, both real nice individuals. Yeah, that was my attempt at the quadratic equation. That's like the only math concept I ever memorized. That's because I had to take remedial algebra in high school, or in college, and then take algebra again. After I got out of the military, I had forgotten any algebra I had ever taken in high school. But yeah, the 2 patients that I started up on service today, they were very nice guys, but they lived in Timbuktu, and I had to drive out to Timbuktu as well as see all my other patients. So now I had to drive back, and I didn't get back until about 25-30 minutes before my kid got out of school. So I just went to his school and did some of my charting on the tablet, and it worked out, but I'd really rather not do that much driving in a given day if I don't have to. You were fine with math until the alphabet joined the party. Yeah, I think most people are with you on that one. Because any mathematic equation that I learned for nursing, like how to calculate dosages and stuff, right, I'd plug in the numbers into the formula, you know? How many milligrams per kilogram do you give of a medication, you know? What's the weight of the patient? What does the label say to give, right? Now, the only one where it's really specific that I remember was in hematology oncology, administering chemotherapy to cancer patients. Some of the math surrounding that, like you have to have a special chemo calculator. Why does my hat look funny? There. Anyway, and you have to be very, very precise in your Barb calls her fingers and toes souvenirs. You have to be very, very precise with the math on the administration of chemotherapies. Simply because of how toxic they are, you can very easily kill someone with those particular drugs. Other drugs, I guess in the emergency room it would be probably pretty important. But I never worked there, so like I wouldn't know how many milligrams of epinephrine to give someone. You know. And I imagine anesthesia has a lot of math that's involved in it as well. But like I said, for what I do in the medical field, it's always just been you plug in the numbers and call it a day. I does tend to frown on poisoning patients just a bit, especially when you're trying to be highly precise. That was God, of the jobs I've worked in nursing, right? That was probably one of the most depressing jobs. Just because everybody's hurting. These patients aren't in the hospital because they're having a good time, you know. They're miserable. And there's just nothing you can do to make their lives real much better. So, needless to say, I don't work there anymore. That was down in San Antonio at what once was Brooke Army Medical Center and is now the San Antonio Military Medical Center. It's a very interesting place to work because it's a military hospital, and most of your patients are family members of soldiers and retirees and active duty soldiers. So definitely a different. Barb's in a weird mood tonight from counting all her fingers and toes that she keeps hidden away and won't tell us how many she has. Don't blame you. It's a Tuesday. A lot of work for the weekend. But yeah, it's a totally different patient demographic there than in the civilian world. You have a friend who's a survivor, said the worst part is surviving the treatments. I 100% believe that. Whoa, where'd that go? Alright, my leg is numb. Yay. That's, ow. That is a feeling. So, the rest of my patient groups, you know, like cardiac patients, you know, you'll get some very nice patients in there who are just having a bit of a hard time, but otherwise they're okay, you know. Nursing homes, they're kind of depressing, but you know, everybody in there is 100, and so it's kind of expected for them to not be too upbeat. But hematology oncology, that was rough. It's a rough couple of, oh yeah, I worked there for like 2 years. What I do now though, I go and I visit people in their homes where they're comfortable, and they're generally pretty amicable people, and it's nice. Definitely, despite the driving today, it's not a bad gig. I could see doing it for a while. Cancer is one of the most awful diseases. I believe it. Just from you know, the patients I've worked with, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So, but I did traverse the countryside today and saw a bit of Wisconsin that I hadn't been to before, but it was like trees and snow, and so it all kind of just blurs together. I didn't visit any place special. Nowhere specific. We're quickly finishing triangle number 6. We got a couple more to grow. Couple more rows to go on this one. All right, Barb, have a good night. Let's see here. So I've been trying to match the paint on my walls, which has been a task in futility. It really has. And I've got some stuff I want to hang on the wall. And next to the stuff I want to hang on the wall, I've got a shotgun that's all in pieces that I got to put together. It's like an 830 Remington. Not a terrible shotgun. It's just all in pieces. So we had a grifter who stayed with us for a while. We didn't realize he was a piece of shit, but he is. And after he was out of our hair, his mother's boyfriend took apart his shotgun and gave it back to him that way, which I wholeheartedly approve of. This kid should never have a shotgun around him. But it somehow became my problem. And so I've got to figure out a way to put it back together. And I have zero intention of returning it to this piece of shit. If his mom asked me really nicely, I still won't give it to her because she'll just give it to him. Because as I've known her for a while, and she enables his bad behavior. So that's not gonna happen. But now I've got a shotgun that technically not mine. But possession is 9/10 of the law, right? So I don't know what to do in that case. To just sell it. Like, yeah, I don't know where it came from. Don't know, you know. $30? Okay. I don't even know if it has all the pieces, because if the guy who took it apart was smart, he would have tossed like an important functioning piece, right? So that is at least what I would have done. I gotta figure out where it goes, where each piece goes. Shouldn't be too difficult, but you know, like a weekend project or something. Since I can't get my walls all the same color, I might as well stop and try and put this shotgun back together. And then once I get my walls all the right color or painted over or whatever I do with them eventually, I will put all my stuff that I have listed. I got like 4 things right now. There will probably be more before I have a chance to start hanging everything. So like 3 things in picture frames, and then the Orca inlay that I did on stream, but I haven't hung yet. And then I've got a, it is a gun case. It is supposed to be mounted on a wall, but there's no way to mount it that I can see. So I don't know what to do with it. It was from my kid's grandpa, who passed away earlier, about 8 months ago. It was from him to my son. He's got a Henry repeating 22 caliber rifle upstairs that he also got from his grandpa. Him and his cousin both have one. And my kid's 7. He just got his first BB gun for Christmas, and I will eventually take him shooting and do more firearms related stuff with him. But his grandpa right out the gate bought him a 22 rifle, right? So I was like, I'm not opposed to guns in any way. So I was like, okay, it's been sitting in my closet for years. And then I don't know when this gun case arrived, sometime in the last 2 years maybe. My father-in-law got it for my son to put his rifle in. It's like, okay, well, now I gotta find a place to put that on the wall, and I gotta figure out a way to hang it, because I don't see one unless I put it up on a shelf. So I was thinking I would do like a French cleat technique, kind of how they hang cabinets. Hang it up on the wall somewhere and put my son's rifle in it. So we'll see. And then eventually I will get my kid out and take him shooting. Probably, let's see here. We'll give him some more time with the BB gun. See how he does with that. What is that? That's a piece I made. Looks like I tried to start dragon scale with this, but it's the wrong ring sizes. Alright. Now, I do not know what I'm going to do about the damn paint on the walls down here, or up on the ceiling upstairs. I don't want to repaint an entire basement, and I don't want to repaint the whole ceiling, so just cover it up with something else. Oh man. Not much else going on in my neck of the woods. I do have that VA appointment coming up. I'm kind of excited about that. Now that the paperwork's been started, courtesy of Renee. It was a process I never started because I never thought that any of my injuries would qualify for anything. But it turns out that they probably do, and we'll see. I've got my biggest injury is while I was in Iraq, I was prepping for a competition, and there was some grappling involved, or some combatives involved, and my combatives teacher threw me on my head, and I dislocated 2 discs in my neck real good. Right. So I get pinched nerves in my neck and back all the time, and it goes down my arm and turns the ring finger and pinky of both my hands numb a lot. That's a lot of fun. It's also fun to wake up in debilitating pain that you can't move. So that's probably the worst injury I had while I was active duty. And if I can get, some compensation for it, great. I'll be pretty happy about that. 2 more rows. I will consider myself very fortunate. If I can get, and this won't happen right away, but from what I understand, if you have 100%, if you're 100% disabled by the VA, now keep in mind, this does not mean disabled the same way it means for a civilian. It means that you can no longer perform your military job, right? And it's the VA standard. So people who are disabled in the civilian world aren't, the metrics for disability aren't the same. From what I understand. But if I can, so when I say get 100% disability, that doesn't mean I can't like physically do anything. It means that I would be 100% unable to do my job in the military anymore, which there's no way I could do my job in the military now. So, but I have been led to believe that if you get classified as having 100% disability, you can file some paperwork so where you don't have to pay property taxes in the state of Wisconsin. Now that is an interesting VA benefit that I did not know was available in the state of Wisconsin. So now I'm very interested. Because I would love not to pay property taxes here in Kenosha, because they don't do anything good with it, as far as I'm concerned. They are the epitome of small city government incompetence. So. Which is, it's unfortunate because, Kenosha was supposed to be this really nice place when we moved here. I'm not its biggest fan. Let me put it that way. A lot of good things about Wisconsin. Southeastern part of the state, not so much. Yours just keeps going up around $100 a year. Yeah, yeah. They added about $20,000 to the valuation of my house this year. So I don't know what that would raise it to. But they think real highly of the property around here. And the best part is all the houses are 100 years old and no one's ever kept them up. And they're trying to sell 100-year-old houses with no upgrades for $200 and $300 a square foot. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And apparently people buy them because housing prices aren't going down around here. So we have a big government boondoggle with Foxconn. They were supposed to come in, they were given some tax breaks, and they were going to hire a bunch of people to make LED screens. But they've got this big facility, and I don't know how complete it is, but they redid a ton of the infrastructure in the area just for them. They really screwed over a bunch of the landowners in the area. In order to make these improvements. So it was a big fiasco. And then Foxconn, like, I don't even think they produced anything yet. I don't think they've hired over a couple hundred people, and they were supposed to be hiring thousands, right? So people started moving here in anticipation of getting a job with Foxconn, and housing prices started going up, and then they don't do anything as of right now, as far as I know. Foxconn is rather heavy on the con part, like completely on the con part. I will be surprised if they end up doing anything, honestly. So we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath. What was the point of that story? Oh yeah, property taxes. Property valuations. People keep moving here and buying up houses, and housing prices keep going up, and I don't know. If I move out of my house, I am probably gonna get a cheap trailer somewhere and stack cash until the housing market implodes around here. I can afford a house. Even the apartments are getting ridiculously expensive. So alright. Now there is a bunch of other manufacturing coming into the area. They've got Haribo, the gummy bear company. I don't know how far along their facility is. I don't think they're producing anything yet. But like Jelly Belly moved out of the area, and then Haribo moved in. And I haven't seen anybody working out there. That ring is no good. Go away, you no good ring. Anyway, we got, a bunch of small manufacturing companies in the area, like, what do you call them? Rust-Oleum, there's one. But the Foxconn plants, yeah. Keep getting robocalls from people who want to buy your house. Yeah. I bet they do. I've gotten a few of those. I got a few realtors that won't get the hint. Yeah, we're looking to help you sell your house. I was like, it's not for sale. Actually, I don't even answer them. I just hang up on them. Saw a meme. It was something like, you know, we didn't know how good we had it before caller ID or something. Or no, I don't need to know who's calling me. I need to know why. Right? And then someone said below, I paid $6.95 just to find out what the caller's intentions are. Which I was like, yeah. Why are you calling me? You have a very small 800 square foot house and it's all yours? Congratulations. All right, this music is no. I don't know what this is, but there. I think that's better. If we can take this apart real quick and add these rings. I don't know what ring size these are. I think these are 20 gauge 1/8 maybe? Are they machine cut or saw cut? They're machine cut. Okay, so they're not 20 gauge 1/8. I've only ever bought saw cut 20 gauge 1/8. I believe. I could be wrong. I've ordered a lot of rings, so. Yeah. Last decorated in the 70s. You believe a lot of paneling on the walls and got gold, used to be shag carpeting. Nice. Nice. Yeah, after living in a very large house for the past several years, I don't know if I could go back down to 800 square feet. Like, I'll go live in a trailer out of necessity, if I have to sell my house. And not like a fancy double wide trailer, like something that keeps out the elements. I don't know if I could do less than 800 square feet. That's really small. Did live in it's like a shepherd shack out on some ranch land in Idaho when I was growing up. And then I did later on live in a fancy double wide trailer. And then I did live in a single wide trailer growing up. And then there were 3 homes that I lived in growing up. I do need to add one more row, right? Like that's where we're at. Yeah, okay. I'm not above living in these places. One of the things that I didn't understand growing up is that it is really important when you're poor to live as cheaply as possible. So I got myself into some, I wouldn't say financial trouble, but financial difficulty early on by trying to rent out places that I couldn't mathematically afford, right? Like I could live there, but I couldn't also live and eat, right? So if I ever have to again get to a point where I need to live cheaply, I at least have, you know, the previous history of living in a shepherd shack, which was probably around 800 square feet, maybe 1,000. It wasn't very big. And we squeezed 5 people in there. That was, here, my mom lived out there, and so we would stay with her when we were out there. And she didn't live there for very long, but it was definitely for like 6 months or more. I just remember 5 people, 1 bathroom, tiny kitchen table, but we were all small kids, so it really didn't matter. You can pack a lot of small kids into a small space. And my mom had just recently met my stepdad, and then they moved into a double wide trailer out in rural Idaho. So big improvement over the shepherd shack, which didn't have much in the way of insulation, so it was always freezing in there. And I call it a shepherd shack, but it's like a ranch hand shack. You gotta stack them like cordwood. Yeah. It'll fit a lot of kids into a small space. You know, I mean, so my point is, right, should I find myself in a situation where I am obligated to find different location to live, I will go and live in squalor rather than pay $200 to $300 a square foot for a house that hasn't been upgraded in, you know, since 1880. I think that was the roundabout point of that story. Oh man, I'm not worried about that happening anytime soon, but you know, just in case. We're actually doing a lot of damage. This used to be full, right? It used to be full of rings. This container is not yellow in any way, by the way. I don't know if it's a light, the camera. I think it's just the camera. Or maybe it's my computer screen. Maybe it just looks yellow on my computer screen. I don't know. I have that like nighttime filter on all the time on my computer and on my phone. Like blue light filter, the orange on your screen as it does mine. I don't know. Where else did I live? I lived with my grandma for a while. Even rental prices right now are insane. Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm talking like, go find an empty plot of land and dig a hole and crawl into it every night rather than pay these prices. Because it's a ripoff. I will pack up my tent and go live in a KOA camp. Like you know, a good RV right, on a friend's property is probably the most cost efficient, right? Pay them a little bit of money, you get some decent living. But RV parks are just as bad as apartments or, you know, anywhere else right now. So, you know, they're good in a pinch if you need to park somewhere overnight, but in the long run, from what I understand, I've never lived in an RV, but I have researched it a lot, and so unfortunately, I don't have any friends here in my area that I could hook up, you know, an RV to and like live next to their house or whatever on their property. So that route's kind of SOL on that one, on that idea. But just find some place, you know, hunker down till this. Cause I'll tell you one thing's guaranteed, okay? These housing prices aren't going to stay this way for forever. Your parents sold their house this summer and are now full-time RVers. They winter in Georgia. Nice. Yep. There's a couple of seedy little roach motels across the highway that those are an option too. They're cheap, they're crappy, but you know, it's a roof over your head and there's some electricity in there, and it's probably cheaper than renting out a place. The housing market will pop again, we'll spiral back into the 2008s. Yeah. Yes, that is almost guaranteed to happen. When? I don't know, but we'll see. There'll be a lot of interesting economic turmoil coming up. And that's just because 40% of all the money in existence was printed in the last 2 years. There are consequences to printing money. And economic downturn happens to be one of them. So, watch your butts. The best thing about the 2008 housing market crash, right? It caused the recession and everything back then, right? My favorite part about it is that a big portion of it was based off of banks selling subprime mortgages to people who really didn't qualify for the loans in the first place. And that is still legal, and banks still do it today. 100%. Not illegal to sell subprime mortgages. All right. Yeah, okay, we're at 57 minutes. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and pack it in. We got the 6th triangle done, so tomorrow we'll look at putting, weaving the seams together and figuring out how we're gonna go about doing that. I don't, like, I'm okay with regular 4-in-1 seams. Back then they were giving out mortgages to anything with a pulse. That is 100% correct. Even people without pulses. Excuse me. So, yeah, we'll play around with some seam work tomorrow. I don't know how I want to do it. I don't know what the options are. I've got a couple different ring sizes to work with, but we'll see. I know that with previous stuff I've done, like elf weave was a good one. Because the rings are in, alright, for a 45-degree seam, these rings cross in opposite directions, so you can do like elf weave, but you can't do interwoven 4-in-1. Should be interesting to try something. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Alright, so thanks everyone for hanging out. I do appreciate you all being here. All your likes, comments, and shares mean a whole lot to me. I love doing this stuff, and I'm glad you enjoy hanging out doing it with me. Be sure to check out MailleWerX.com for all your chainmail themed apparel and accessory needs. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, starting at 9. Be sure to tell your family, your friends, let everyone know. Chainmail's all the rave. It's the greatest thing in the world. I'm not lying at all. Well, it is to me anyway, and that's not a lie. So, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all tomorrow night. All right?